This is Jacob Wood with RaidWarning.com, and I wanted to take a minute and show off a rather fantastic mod that has been eating up almost all my game time of late. This is the mod of Ice and Fire by Virtuobosa for Civilization V, and it's available on the Steam Workshop. Now, if you are a fan of Game of Thrones, be it the HBO series or George R.R. Martin's books, you probably know where this is going. But prepare yourself, it's pretty amazing. This mod leaves the time-tested mechanics of Civ V in place, but replaces almost everything else with the names, the players, the civilizations of the Game of Thrones world and of Westeros and Essos. Now, there's a couple major changes to the gameplay that affect how you're going to play a game of Civ V with the mod of Ice and Fire. Probably the most important one to understand is your technology tree, which is going to be capped during the Age of the Seven Kingdoms. So most of your technologies are going to come from the Age of Valyria or the Renaissance. While the idea of having a futuristic or modern interpretation of Westeros is really appealing, it is keeping in the spirit of things to keep us in this particular realm of technology, and it makes everything work a whole lot better. Plus, the idea of Joffrey Baratheon with a nuclear arsenal is just straight up terrifying. So, what I've got here is a game I've been playing for a little while. I'm probably about the middle of the game, maybe the early mid. And I'm playing as Stannis Baratheon, King of the Iron Throne by rights. So you'll see that this is essentially Civ V. You've got the same kind of units, same terrain, all the same kind of things. However, the place names are quite different. So we've got Dragonstone as my capital, Brightwater Keep, Ashford, Driftmark. These are all places from the universe of Game of Thrones and from the books. It's really cool to see these, little used names pop up. The other major thing you'll see is that each of the different civilizations has access to a couple different buildings or a couple different units. So in the case of Stannis, if we go into Dragonstone, you'll see that I actually have two religious buildings. The Red Temple, which increases your faith, and Nightfires, which also increases your faith. Stannis is the faith-based civilization of this mod, so it only makes sense. I'm worshipping the Lord of Light right now, so that's quite appropriate. I've also got access to pirates, so this makes sense. All the different units that you're going to have access to under the different civilizations fit perfectly with those particular groups of people. You can see some other civilizations over here. We've got a couple of free cities. City-states are replaced by the free cities of Westeros and Essos. Blacktide, Grassy Vale on my north coast. You saw I had Bravos there. And when you basically act exactly the same as you would with the normal city-states. However, there's a rather wonderful change that has occurred when you do diplomatic talks with the other civilizations. So here you can see the Targaryens, Karth, the greatest city that ever was or shall be. Bam! Game of Thrones, you're thrown right in. So we've got a nice screen, no animations. Of course, this is just a mod, so we can't really expect that. Now, that would be enough for most people. But what puts this mod far ahead of everything else, in my particular opinion, is when you head to another civilization. Over here we've got Dorne. Now, they haven't shown up in the show yet, but they're definitely a player in the politics and the military actions of the world. Bam! There we've got them. No picture, but we've still got this wonderful heraldry. So it's really nice to see the entire world expanded on. Not just, a homage to HBO show. This is clearly a mod created by somebody who has a deep love of George R.R. Martin's source material, and it shows. The rest of the changes are seen best from the game's setup screen. Most obviously is your choices of civilization. You've got 10 different groups or civilizations from the Game of Thrones universe at your disposal. They're very well fleshed out. Their abilities really suit the style of these different armies or groups of people. And the different units or buildings you have available really match the character. There's two particular things that I want to point out. One is the dire wolf pack, and the other is the dragon. These are completely new models being used in the game, and it's incredibly cool to see them on the field of battle. The dragon is more so terrifying. The other major change that has to be mentioned was only recently added, and it's amazing. When you're selecting your map, you have the option to select Westeros and Essos. This is actually a game scenario and allows you to start in a geographically correct location with your civilization. While from this screen you're only able to choose a random leader for this particular scenario, there's a workaround that's clearly shown right here. All in all, this is an absolutely amazing mod for Civ and Game of Thrones fans. It captures the character of the universe, plays wonderfully, and is just a really fresh take on what Civilization does well. I encourage you to go download this and give it a try.